One that you wear everywhere.
My Deadpool snuggie.
Hey, wifey.
I just sit on the couch.
There's Bat Dad, and then there's Bryce as Deadpool.
Yeah,
Bryce Pool.
It's really comic accurate, except for the baby spit up. So,
hello everyone, and how are you? This is the Comic Conspiracy, episode 222, for the week of August 11th, 2015. My name is Ryan Higgins. Besides the baby spit up on Bryce, who else is here this week?
Alex Egger.
baby spit up Bryce.
Toby.
And Charlie.
Hello everyone.
Hello.
Bryce, you really not going to watch that Deadpool trailer?
Look,
I know you don't watch trailers. I'm just making fun of you.
What happened? So, as for all of the hate that I'm giving the next Batman movie, it's a Batman movie. So
we're just gonna leave this bank of Deadpool's head
Charlie
right
just
here in
brought
front of you.
Life-size Deadpool head from Ryan's shelf. And
We're just gonna have
just so it can stare at Bryce.
Yeah.
So
Bring the second one
she
too.
convinced me to watch. My wife convinced me to watch the Man of Steel 2 trailer. I'm sorry, the Batman trailer. I don't know. I'm still not convinced I'm going to see that in theater. I didn't see the last two Spider-Mans in theater. Sort of any superhero movie. I'm not going to see Fantastic Four in theater. Any superhero movie that just looks like it's going to suck, I'm not going to see in theater.
Here's my concern with Deadpool. This is the same concern I had with Ant-Man. My fear was, if the movie may not be very good, and they show all the funny stuff in the trailer. Fortunately, not the case with Ant-Man.
I just don't know why you thought that about Ant-Man. Like, their track record has been great. Why would you think that they would fucking just barn Ant-Man?
There was a lot of lead-up problems with Ant-Man. Again,
the only lead-up problems was the Edgar Wright snafu.
Unfounded problems.
Yes,
but
correct.
There was some rewrites and they reshoots. And you got more problems on Ant-Man than any other Marvel movie to date that we know of. Obviously, stuff came out later with Joss Whedon and Avengers, but up to that point, that was the only one that I think we really heard like any kind of difficulty.
There was a lot of news regarding like how difficult it was.
My fear,
not as much as Fantastic Four.
Well, that's different.
We'll get to that.
That's not Marvel.
We'll fucking get to that.
My fear with the Deadpool trailer is it's so funny. Can the whole movie be like that, or did they just pick out?
You think that trailer is that funny?
I think it's really funny.
He laughed.
Yeah.
It was
really,
great.
It's a really
I watched
funny
it
trailer.
with him we watched it last Tuesday because it came out right after
we recorded.
And, it was Jim, you and I were watching it, and just he was laughing. It was
here's the thing.
hilarious.
Deadpool,
Really?
I hate Deadpool. Right? Deadpool's stupid.
I'm not a big Deadpool fan either.
Deadpool's stupid.
You're
but
stupid.
Yeah.
This Deadpool trailer is the Deadpool I like. He's not a cartoon character. It's funny. He's witty, but he's still normal. He's not fucking Wile E. Coyote. And this Deadpool trailer is much more a classic Deadpool. He's still within the realms of human.
My fucking favorite Deadpool my whole life is the 90s and first half of the 2000s Deadpool when he was still a badass and witty, and then they just made him fucking jump the shark.
Yeah, I think they went
such an idiot.
too far.
They went too far, so big.
Like,
And
I'm okay with chimichanga jokes.
He's been a fucking idiot
But
for like a decade.
But I mean, if he turns into the Mask, like that's where. Not that I have a problem with the Mask. I like the Mask.
Wait, they went
Sure.
that far?
I love how like Ryan's
No,
like, don't
didn't
kill
know they
me,
went that
Charlie.
far.
Don't do it.
In the comics, they absolutely have. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And that's what I don't like. When they've taken the character way too far in the comics.
I didn't know that.
I love the Mask, but that works because that's the character. That's not Deadpool.
Yeah.
Or at least I don't think so. So,
How about the Son of Mask?
But I did not see that. But the Deadpool trailer, which everyone saw immediately after we posted the podcast last week, was really funny.
So I've heard a bunch of the spoilers from the trailer, but dude, I'm telling you,
don't see it.
I'm a 10 out of 10 for excitement.
Sure.
There's
You
no
should be.
point in seeing this
It's
trailer.
a very good trailer. You should be 10 out of 10 excited. Yeah.
Right on.
Charlie just watched it.
Yeah. What'd you guys think?
Oh, the trailer was awesome. A lot of the stuff was from the previous trailer that I had seen, but yeah, they're doing a very, very good job of not really giving away the story of the movie while just making the movie seem fantastic and funny and great action. And
I think when I watched it with you last week, and then again with you just now, I really got that feeling that we got from X-Men Wolverine Origins, where we saw Ryan Reynolds as Wade Wilson as the role of Wade Wilson. Because that was the best thing about that movie was Ryan Reynolds as Wade Wilson.
Oh, I totally agree.
And-
For the first half of the movie, or like that first scene or whatever.
Yeah.
I agree, he was great as Wade Wilson before they did all the stuff at the end. And as far as I can tell from the trailer, I think they're basically ignoring what they did with his character in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
From what I hear,
And
the other
very
Deadpool
intelligent,
is
so.
cameoing in this movie, too. That's what I hear.
It's going to be Deadpool kills Deadpool.
Yeah, no,
and
basically,
everybody
that's
will
what I've
be
been
happy.
hearing. Yeah.
Bryce, can I tell you, at least, from what I understand, there's multiple jokes about it. I don't know how many are going to make into the actual movie, but there's multiple Green Lantern movie jokes.
Uh-huh.
There's one in the trailer, so...
I don't know if that's meant to get me hard. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. Ryan Reynolds is fucking great, dude. I mean, he's, I think, sort of been a victim of trying to be more serious than maybe he was meant to be, than he was brought to Hollywood to be. But, yeah, I think that he got a really bad luck with Green Lantern. I think that he would have made a great Green Lantern. It's just that the movie... the directing wasn't even that bad. It was, I think, just the story was just, DOA.
But from the Deadpool trailer, he makes a much better Deadpool.
Yeah.
Much better
so
Deadpool.
I think that people were saying, and maybe, I don't know, maybe people was me, ever since Blade 3 that he should have been Deadpool because he's like a good superhero movie wisecracker. And so, yeah, I'm so stoked. And was it on the podcast or was it before we recorded that Tobias mentioned Cable confirmed for the if it
one?
comes out, this is all hyphenated, if it comes out
But it's the
Deadpool
internet.
sequel.
I'm still saying if we don't get at least a cameo of him in the first Deadpool movie, or if he doesn't show up in he has to be in at least the X-Men Apocalypse movie or the Deadpool movie. If he's in neither of those, I am not going to be a happy Charlie.
I'm actually really hoping that happens because I've seen Charlie slightly on edge at times, but never completely break through.
Oh, it'll be
so
Red
I'm
Lantern
waiting.
chaos in
I'm
there.
waiting for the day that happens, and actually, it's going to be a glorious day because I don't think anybody can stand Charlie's path.
Deadpool comes out in February, right?
I think so.
I think right around Valentine's Day.
Sounds good. Let me.
That's awesome.
While we're talking,
incredible.
Deadpool and Cable, one of our news stories this week, besides the Deadpool trailer, obviously, was the return of it's Deadpool and Cable now because this is taking the place of the.
Well, they did that with the Omnibus too, which
Oh, did they?
totally threw me. I'm like, why the fuck did they rename the Omnibus?
Dude, this is Charlie slightly on edge.
They put the better character in the front position, huh? So with Deadpool and Cable split
You're
second.
just having so much fun being like, how far can I push Charlie before he rages?
Here, how far can you do this? It's Fabian Nicieza writing it, but it's Deadpool and Cable split second, a 6-issue infinite comic. I mean, a digital first comic, which have notoriously been mediocre, but good creative team. So Fabian Nicieza knows.
Yeah, I don't know the artist, but yeah, Nicieza, that's fine. As long as he's writing Cable Deadpool, this sounds like the fucking best 6 issues
There will be
of
a
Marvel
print.
Comics this year.
But it would be equivalent of 3 issues.
No, it'll be. I think they mean it's 6-issue physical comic because that's
that's
18
about
digital
Yeah.
comics. Yeah,
Digital comics are only 10 pages?
8 pages. Yeah.
Huh.
No.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, 8 pages. Yeah.
Something like
Dude,
that.
I've just stopped reading
Well,
on
what-
my iPad.
what
I used to redeem the digital codes. I just stopped.
Well, these are the ones that are digital only, but then they come out with a physical edition as well. So what they do with the digital, what they've done with Deadpool is they have his main series, but then they've had a series of mini-series that are kind of come out.
And
at
some
the same
are
time.
really necessary for what's going on in the Deadpool comic.
Yeah.
Like the
Some of it completely.
one that introduced his wife and stuff was like a digital first, which surprised me.
Yeah, and others are just completely separate. So if you like Deadpool, look for that.
Well, that's all right. You'll get Deadpool versus Thanos in September.
Yeah, that's the other one. Those are going to be kind of coexisting.
a
so.
brand new miniseries.
Is it done by Bunn also?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Because I've liked all the Deadpool miniseries they've done.
So, other movie news to get some stuff out of the way. Before as the weekend was going on, I know I was talking to Toby, and Toby seemed, I don't want to say mad, but you seem concerned about people having views on stuff without having actually seen them.
Yes.
And I was simply telling you multiple people who I personally know that have seen the Fantastic Four movie, independent of each other, have all had the same complaints. A lot of
fine.
reviews have the same complaints. So Have you seen the movie yet?
No.
Have you seen Fantastic Four yet? Anyone? Anyone here?
I
No.
actually want to.
Nope.
No.
None of us have seen Fantastic Four.
When
Wow.
it goes to the really cheap theater over by Dan's, I will probably
No,
see it.
I will actually
Oaks.
try and watch it.
The Oaks.
The failure of this Fantastic Four movie is more than I think anyone could have ever imagined how bad this movie is doing. It's No. I really think this is
Part
it's-
8.
No, this is even more than that. This is inconceivable that it did this poorly.
Dude, I tweeted before the movie dropped about how it would be an enormous bomb.
No, this is bombing, I think, even more than
How can you tell
that.
me that like it's doing worse than I said it would be when I said it would be like the worst thing ever?
Well, but what I'm trying to say here is people expected
reconcile that.
People expected this movie to do bad, but it's like, you know, you could compare it to, I'd say, like,
It's not even on 40 million at this point, I think. They spent
Like
120 million.
Lone Ranger, maybe?
No, that's me. It's
Lone
worse.
Ranger actually, I think, made a little bit of money. I mean, I think we're talking like, so I'm looking here.
John Carter.
As of right
I
now,
think what other movies?
Do not talk shit about the John Carter.
No, the John
Battleship.
Carter movie was
Awesome.
fantastic.
Anything with that guy from True Detective. That I feel really bad for that guy from True Detective. Everything he touches seems to go to shit. Battleship, John Carter. He was in a third blockbuster that summer that bombed. True Detective Season 2 was just shitty.
Friday Night Lights was awesome.
Taylor Kitsch?
He's the main
Is it-
star in
is
that show.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Kitsch?
Well, I guess. Well, are you asking the non-American to pronounce an American name? That's really smart.
That's my bad.
Yeah.
So while Fantastic Four won't do as bad as Catwoman and Elektra, which lifetime gross was around 56 and 60, about 60 million each.
At this rate.
I mean, Fantastic Four is already at 60 million, but
Oh,
It's
okay,
at
so it did broke to 40.
but you're talking about a movie that came.
Wait,
you're talking about two
worldwide?
movies worldwide. It's 62 million
Okay,
right
worldwide
now,
it's 62.
which is really bad.
I know.
I mean, and you have to go back to 2004, 2005 when Catwoman and Elektra came out. Ticket prices, 3D, yada yada yada. It took way more. So on inflation, Fantastic Four is still doing worse. And it's funny, and you'll laugh at me, I'm sure, with this, because I saw Fantastic Four getting lumped with box office failures like Catwoman and Green Lantern, and I'm like, okay, while Green Lantern didn't do great, it did over $200 million. A failure, sure.
Green Lantern did over $200 million?
Yeah.
But it also costs more, though.
Worldwide?
It costs yeah. No, Green Lantern is a financial
Didn't it
failure
cost
in the
more?
theater. I mean, I think it
Wait,
cost
how much
200.
was the budget?
Like 200.
Over $200 million?
It was a very expensive
Yeah.
movie. Yeah, they've really lost a lot of
Wasn't
money in
it
that movie.
220?
I think it was too flat.
Okay.
I think it was too flat, and their box office gross was like 205 or something like that. So clearly, they're not. Green Lantern was a failure. Don't get me wrong, but Fantastic Four.
It's less of a failure than I thought it was.
Yeah, Fantastic Four is a failure. It is.
They
So
just barely hit the halfway mark.
movie wise, sorry, money wise, it's doing. I mean, I think if you adjust for inflation, on par or worse than Catwoman and Elektra, which is
Elektra.
amazing. Rotten Tomatoes rating of 9%, which is worse than Batman and Robin, which is, I mean, that is as low as it gets.
I do think, though, part of this is just general Marvel hate that people want Fox to give up Fantastic Four and have it to go back.
Well,
I do think half of
I'm
this
sure-
is just...
See, I thought about that too. I think that's us living in our own bubble, though. Because I thought about that too.
That's
No,
the-
I think it's part of it.
That's
I
a
don't-
small amount of comic audience, right? I mean, I'm sure we affected sales.
I mean, not
5%.
saying I'm
right?
not saying the movie is good. It's probably still horrible. I'm just saying,
probably-
at the horrible movie on top of people.
We didn't help the groundswell.
No, we did not. But and then add in the Marvel fanboys that wanted to go back to Marvel Studios. And I don't blame them because I
Right.
wanted there too. I think that added to the feel also. I really do think so.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think this was a perfect storm of hate and just general audience malaise because obviously, movies that have reviewed poorly have done very, very well. Movies that fanboys didn't like did very, very well. Look at not only just episode 1 of Star Wars, but 2 and 3 made so much money. If they were really that bad, they wouldn't have made that sort of money, right?
They are really that bad.
But most of the time,
But they work. They may not be good, but they work, and people were willing to go see it. Fantastic Four. This is trending worse than the first 2 movies in 2005, like way worse.
Yeah.
And those movies were not well received and didn't do great.
They were not good movies. Let's be honest.
And they're not good movies. And this is on another fucking level.
God, I really liked those movies.
Did you really?
Oh,
I think there's good parts to them.
They're my Green Lantern. You can appreciate that.
Okay, yeah, sure. No,
Actually, no, that's not true.
I like the second one.
Daredevil was my Green Lantern until the Netflix Green Lantern, or sorry, the Netflix Daredevil.
You were on my side
What?
on Daredevil.
The director's cut?
Yeah.
I thought it was actually a decent movie.
Where were you when I had to defend myself by myself?
I was here.
You don't count. I have to defend myself.
Well,
okay, I actually think Daredevil and the two Fantastic Four movies they all probably combined have the same. I think there are elements in all three of those movies that I like that work, but overall as a movie they don't work. I think there are things that I can pick out of those three movies.
That was a pretty. I mostly agree with that statement. All three were not good enough to rate well, but there were things in them that were appealing, although in the whole didn't work out.
I did like your little thing that there were things in them that were appealing.
I will agree
because the
with
thing
you
was
two-thirds.
very good in those movies.
The Thing was very good. Silver Surfer was very good. Jessica Alba's really hot, although terribly, terribly cast.
That was bad.
No, I think
Ben Affleck
Human
is
Torch,
a terrible superhero. But,
Human Torch and The Thing were good. They were good parts of the movie, and when they focused on them, I thought they were cool. It's just they're not the main characters of the movie, so the majority of it's not about them. And
But
how do you fuck up Doom
how
3 times?
do you fuck up Doctor Doom 3? Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
How do you fuck up Doctor Doom 3 times?
Yeah.
Not only did they get him wrong in the first movie, where it's like fucking you're bad. Second time, they still got him wrong, and it was
which
like
first movie?
the Fantastic Four mid 2000 movies.
Oh,
Yeah.
See, I count the unreleased as the first one.
Well,
and I think it was
they
the
did
most
like the-
accurate in that one.
Well, they did him like the ultimate version of him, which is just like, no, do the fucking normal version. And then this movie, they show him and he's some fucking like crazy robot monster that I haven't seen the movie, so I can't really comment. But fuck, man, like you can't make him a dude in metal armor and a big cape and a total badass. Like it's not that hard.
So me and Brock have some stuff to do on Thursday, so I'm going to be in and out. But I'm planning on taking one for the team. I'm going to see. I may try to go down if I have the time on Thursday on my day off to go watch Fantastic Four.
I'll go watch it, but I have basketball on Thursday, so I have to do it on Friday.
I'm gonna try. I think I'm gonna go and take one for the team. And I would I don't care if Fox puts it out. I want a good Fantastic Four movie. I don't care if it's. I mean, obviously, I prefer it's Marvel, but it's not that I don't have the. Whoa, Bryce is like down low. It's not necessarily that I specifically want. Whoa, that I specifically want Fox's version to fail. I would love great X-Men movies and great Fantastic Four movies. It's just Fox, when it comes to X-Men, I think they're batting 50-50, and when it comes to Fantastic Four, they're batting 0. And I don't know how you mess it up quite this bad. So we're going to pause now for station identification as Bryce Poole takes a photo here that Toby will probably post online later.
Oh, are you
This isn't going to be the podcast image?
Maybe it will be. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to see what everyone what people are doing on Thursday, because I don't hate watch movies. I'm not gonna go to make fun of it. I will seriously sit there, and the complaints have been very little. And again, people that have seen this have seen it. They can comment or shoot us an email or post on Twitter or on the Facebook group or something. But agree with me if you let me know if this is accurate. It seems to be just characters aren't really there. I've heard Johnny Storm's the best part of the movie. I heard he legitimately is decent and does a good job, and everyone else is just kind of there, but just very off for characters. Very slow, doesn't go anywhere, and then the back half of the movie, they don't get their powers till an hour in, and then the last half of the movie is like a completely separate movie that goes off in a totally other direction.
Which the director blames on the studio.
Yeah. There's actually a tweet here, Josh Frank. Josh.
I thought
Trank.
that was kind of well. You read it first.
Yeah. He posted this and deleted it pretty quick, but it says, "A year ago, I had a fantastic version of this, and it would have received great reviews. You'll probably never see it. That's a reality, though."
I do want to see that version. However,
No.
let me finish. However, it might have been fantastic for him, not for everybody else.
Right, it's fucking bullshit to me that this guy would fucking... Because wasn't he fired off of the Star Wars
Jedi.
spin-off?
Yeah.
Well,
Like, it seems like sour grapes to me. This guy's talking about, like, oh, you should have seen my version. He's fucking, like,
Well, he's been
shot
like
calling.
that ever since Chronicle, though.
He's shot calling from
Which
the back, and
that
he's
dude
saying,
loves.
like... You know,
I do like Chronicle. Yeah, he made one cool movie, and then...
mine would have been way better. Oh, you
Yeah.
should have seen mine.
But
well, sorry, you'll never see it. But mine would have been
He's
way
been
better.
talking like that shit ever since Chronicle, though. I was like, I can make superheroes that Hollywood can't. Well, you had a chance, and you didn't do it.
What's his name? The director of Green Lantern, who was... what the hell's his name? I'll have to look it up here. Who did the... he did one of the... James Bond movies, the recent James Bond movies.
Oh,
He came out after Green Lantern came out, and he was like, the movie's not me. You know, the studio took it and did a bunch of other stuff with it. I had very little control over it. He didn't like the experience and didn't want to do it again. So, you know, I mean, I definitely understand that there are...
wait, this sounds familiar.
yeah, I mean,
Didn't a couple Marvel directors quit because of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, sure. Well, okay.
Or Edgar Wright, didn't he leave because of that?
We talked about this too. Oh, yeah, Martin Campbell. We talked about this as well, and you know, you guys can disagree with me if you think I'm wrong here, but
Editorial comics versus creator comics?
no, I'm talking about the movies.
Okay. Well, it's
Joss
similar.
Whedon did not write or direct Avengers 1 and 2. I mean, that's what the credits say, right? But there's
I thought it was only two.
no. He
He
wrote
had a problem with.
Well, no, but even number one, he did not write and direct that movie. Okay, I mean, it says written and directed by Joss Whedon. Okay, first of all, he did not write and direct those movies. People understand this, right? There's hundreds of people
Yeah,
involved.
keep talking because I want Joss to hear this and get mad and maybe come down here and tell you about
There's
it.
hundreds.
Yeah.
Fucking pull your head out of your ass.
You don't think there's hundreds of people
No,
involved?
I don't think there's hundreds.
Yeah,
I
there
agree.
is.
No, there is.
There is.
I agree too.
These movies are not handled by one person. It is a very large
I
committee
guess
of
it's
people involved.
Semantics. I'm not saying that it's done by him. I'm just saying that hundreds is fucking like hyperbole.
Well, those many credits at the end of the movie will disagree with you.
It depends on what you're classifying together, but no, it's the kind of thing where you get into. It wasn't that long ago where Marvel was talking about how they had their little brain trust that acts as creative consultants for their movies and that kind of stuff. It's not like that shit has gone away. It's not like there isn't a certain amount of input that comes in from.
Yeah, when
Anybody
Edgar
with
Wright's when Edgar Wright's doing his movies, I believe that he's doing the majority of the work as far as the creative end of it. Obviously, he's not acting in it. Obviously, he has people that work and everything else. But when it comes to Ant-Man, no, Marvel's writing the movie, and he is adding his elements to it. It gets rewritten 20, 30 times. He is directing it, but other people are involved in every aspect.
Somebody has to greenlight the script, therefore various feedback and revision.
Well,
and greenlight his directing methods,
You brought it up when we were talking about Ant-Man, where you could see the scenes that were Edgar Wright scenes.
Which I was wrong on one of them, apparently.
were you wrong on?
The flashbacks apparently were not Edgar Wright, and that's an Edgar Wright staple. So that was surprising that that's not Edgar Wright. But I'd bet money that the Cure thing was an Edgar Wright, because that's totally Edgar Wright right there.
That's what Walsh calls them. The suits.
Yeah, well, sure. And that's not bad. I mean, but it's, Josh Trank, he's not... He's never going to be able to make his version of Fantastic Four. That's not how these things work. It just doesn't.
Right. So there's an indie movie that comes out, written and directed by so-and-so. Yeah, sure, I believe it.
Right.
But nobody fucking should think, even if they do, that, Avengers is solely written and directed by... Actually, I don't know. I believe that it was... Whatever.
I mean, Whedon was the director, but...
The fucking one of the top 5 greatest grossing movies in the history of movies, like... Written and directed by is a fucking it's a title. It's almost like an award. It's not like this was only like the torch was only carried by him.
Yeah,
it's just that he's the
Black Widow scene was his.
torchbearer.
And it can happen.
That was
I mean,
his scene,
Yeah,
though.
and
He
even
actually
then,
had that
I don't
idea
think
to see Buffy.
I don't think we are saying that in terms of his contribution that it was he still carried the lion's share of the contribution compared to everything that other
just gets
people
a lot of
contributed.
notes.
yeah.
The studio was running the ship. The studio was telling the ship where to go. He was just guiding it.
Well, the studio is the ship,
Yeah,
right?
they're the bosses. It's like working at some place.
The studio is the ship.
The studio's no. The studio's the one that's telling him where to go. The ship is the movie.
Oh, well, sure. Anyway, Fantastic Four.
Fantastic flop.
Very few people saw it. I'm going to try to take one for the team. We'll see what happens.
I will not take it for a team because I will go anyways.
I mean, and like what Toby was saying, I don't doubt that there's a faction of people that were like, Black Human Torch, Blair, I'm not going to go see that. Oh, if Mr. Fantastic's a kid, I'm not going to go see that. I don't care about any of that. Yeah. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. I mean, I
want to just know how bad it is for myself.
I legitimately thought those trailers looked okay.
I like the trailers.
The trailers.
I hated all the stories before then. I loved the trailers.
The trailers harken back to X-Men First Class, where we were all kind of like, nah. I mean, we all went and saw this.
When First Class was
that
announced,
was the reverse. The trailers were like, huh? And then you watch the movie, you go, holy shit.
Well, no. Yeah. When First Class was announced, nobody gave
nobody gave
shits about that.
And the trailer was pretty bad. Come on. It was like, little silhouettes.
The first one was okay. It was the second one that really caught your interest in it, going,
But
it
that
wasn't
movie
like
was awesome.
Yeah, the trailers were very ho-hum.
Yeah. But the Fantastic Four started out like that, but then just...
Well, see, I'm the opposite. I was like, this is going to be bullshit. Then I watch a teaser and the regular trailer and go, this is not looking bad. I'm in.
Of FF.
And then the thing went down.
I don't know. I guess my thing is, and this is kind of what I said about the previous Fantastic Four movies and stuff, is to me the Fantastic Four, the whole idea of the first family and that kind of stuff, the sort of key there is sort of the family and having it feel like a family. And the trailers for this didn't make it feel like a family to me, especially when you get into this. Sue and Reed are young enough that they're probably not married yet. I don't know.
They're not even together.
Yeah.
Like, they don't even know each other at the start of the movie.
To me, that doesn't work for me on the Fantastic Four. Like,
really?
I don't care if they necessarily have kids yet or anything like that, but I want them to be sort of older. I want them to already be together. I value the family dynamic in the Fantastic Four, especially because it's one of the things that makes them very unique in comic books.
Okay, hold on. I can save all of you guys some heartache. Okay? All the suffering. Just watch The Incredibles over again.
Oh, that is the best FF movie. Yeah. So, a couple things here. As far as...
real quickly, I'm going to add, though, I actually don't mind it as the first movie to be like that, though. If it was like the second movie and they're still like a bunch of kids and not knowing each other, that'd be kind of weird. But as the first movie, I don't mind it.
But it's not in the same continuity, but it's almost the third movie, because it's almost like this guy had a chance to see the failure of the first ones, which they were sort of a discombobulated group, and like, okay, well, I won't repeat those mistakes.
No, but I mean, my thing is the Fantastic Four that I'm kind of aware of, and in my mind, has a lot of flashbacks that established the sort of relationships and whatnot, but it's not during the experiment. It's not like we get our powers and then we get to know each other. Like that to me is where you start breaking things apart.
Is that what happened in this movie?
Fair enough.
Well, I don't know if that's exactly what happened in this movie, but I get the impression that based on the trailer, there's a lot of introduction during the sort of initial experiments. Whether or not the experiments take place over 6 months, 2 years, whatever, I don't know. But I like the relationship between the characters back in college. I like the fact that some of these relationships sort of continue from that, because let's be honest, the Ben Grimm character makes the most sense because of the history with him and Reed. Mm-hmm. And everything.
But I actually think they show all of this in this movie. We just don't know because none of us seen it.
And that's possible.
Well, it is funny how much time we're spending on the movie none of us has seen.
But that's the thing. If it has that family dynamic, I could come out of it saying it's the best Fantastic Four movie.
Here's the problem. It could be exactly the same setup as this. If it was a well-made movie, it's a well-made movie. The setup, the background doesn't matter. It specifically is it a good movie or bad. And so,
I think going to what Charlie said is he wants them a little bit older. And I mean,
but again, like I said, it doesn't matter.
No. The thing is they look like this cast of characters that they have for the Fantastic Four look like they're in college. But this is
what
their
I'm saying
college
is,
years,
who
but
cares?
they don't fit in the lab.
It doesn't matter.
If they're that smart, they do.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. They could have, in some ways, adapted more closely to the Ultimate Fantastic Four. It could have worked. It could have been a First Class. It could have been an Ant-Man, which is like, this is okay, maybe, who knows? Oh, look, that was really good. If it was a good movie, that's all that matters.
I've come out of it saying I loved it, but it wasn't Fantastic Four, just like so many other
But it could
movies.
become the Fantastic Four. Well, anyway, I got a couple things to cover so we can move on.
My bad. I brought us back.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But real quick, so some specifics on the Fantastic Four movie.
We're not done.
No. Well, no. I wanted to just not just talk about because none of us have seen it. So I want actually some real specifics here.
Go for it.
The bigger problem with this is actually it's a rare comic book movie and a rare Marvel movie that didn't open in the number 1 spot opening weekend. It opened in the number 2 spot behind the second week of Mission Impossible, which is never a good sign.
Well, that was a good movie, though.
Yeah, that's what I heard. From Box Office Mojo, it says it got a C- on Cinema Score. To quote them, a very low grade for what is supposed to be a summer blockbuster. Pixels, for heaven's sake, earned a B.
Really?
Yeah. That's audience feedback on the movie. Yeah. So Pixels,
Who rates these things?
the audience.
I mean, I'm questioning the audience.
Yeah, well-
That's what I'm doing right now.
You should question the audience because
Yeah.
they're the ones who make movies that star Adam Sandler profitable
Exit polls out of LA and the middle America states.
and to not come out here. The only Marvel movie, I mean, we're talking like X-Men up, obviously. Actually, Blade up. The Fantastic Four beat in box office, not even adjusting for inflation, is Ghost Rider: Spirits of Vengeance, which only had
That's your favorite
22 million, which is a great movie, by the way. It's a horribly great movie, but it's a great movie. I love that movie. It's so bad.
I've seen it.
It's terrible.
So the old school
I love
Punisher
bad
is
movies,
better?
but
Well, I'm talking like Blade and
okay.
up. Right.
wait, which Punisher? I love the Thomas Jane ones.
Dolph Lundgren, man. When I say old school, I mean actually
Yeah.
old school.
Like actually,
Yeah.
I haven't
Not
seen
all
them.
that.
So, Fantastic Four, we barely knew you. Thank God you suck.
Well, they're coming back, supposedly.
So I asked on
No.
Twitter, like,
There's no way.
Really? Because that's what Fox is saying right now. They're moving on with the sequel.
no
way now.
Really?
No,
No way
they had
now.
a sequel planned that is no longer certain of its future.
They may say they're working on something.
right.
There's no way. There's no.
That's too bad.
There's no way.
So my
All
question,
they basically have said is they're not giving up on the Fantastic Four, but
should.
they are not necessarily. Basically, studio speak is they intend to hold on to the rights, but
Of
they have
course.
nothing
Right, of
directly
course.
Well, they got to
planned right
protect their
now.
stuff.
Of
Yeah.
course. Let's hit up two quick. Let's hit up two quick TV stories, and then we got some more comic talk and some questions. Definitely one of the most positive news stories of the week. Sorry, Fantastic Four. Well, it's a positive spin on a failure. Constantine, the TV
I
show.
thought you were going to go with Vertigo, the other Vertigo title.
What's that?
The 100 Bullets?
Oh, I'm getting there.
right.
There. Constantine, TV show may have been canceled before its time. However, we have officially have word that Matt Ryan, NBC's Constantine himself, will be appearing as John Constantine on Arrow season 4.
yes, you and your fucking blinders.
Fantastic.
Canceled before its time.
It was.
Did you watch
man.
that show?
It's a good show.
It was not a fucking good show.
It's a good show.
And Arrow will be appearing, or already has, actually, on WWE Wrestling Stardust.
We actually got a question here from Cross X Hunter, who said, "Do any of you watch wrestling? It's real life comic books. Also, Stephen Amell will be at SummerSlam in the ring." Yes. I don't know what the hell. Like, he's a big wrestling. I don't know if it's just crossover or what the deal is, but
Well, they do sell really matches over time.
Oh,
as
yeah.
is anyways.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I have a feeling Amell is a
He's a big
wrestling fan that he's not letting the people know. So it's like maybe his childhood
Yeah.
dream come true.
Oh, he's been pretty public in
Yeah?
terms of his, like, if you've, yes, he's been doing a lot
Cool.
of build up here and there.
Oh, yeah, I know
but
he's been doing the
put
build-up,
in
yeah.
like Twitter posts for quite a while now.
But I have a feeling this is like his personal, like, this is what I want to do one day. Now I can.
He did
Yeah.
look super happy shooting that cage fight
Yeah.
trailer for Flash and Arrow.
Well, no, I'm just talking about like he's watched various like pay-per-views and stuff and tweeted about them and that kind of stuff.
It is
Cool.
fucking incredible how wrestling is like real life comic books,
Yeah.
and I couldn't give less of a fuck. Like
I was in the wrestling.
It is. I mean, it's a bunch of fictional, like buff dudes and sometimes ladies, like acting out a melodrama on a monthly basis. It is like real life comic books to a T. But
I liked wrestling.
I couldn't give less of a fuck.
No, I liked wrestling a little bit in the 80s, and I don't. I mean, I'm not going to say whatever to people that like it. I could, have fun, but I don't get it. I don't get it. And I know so many people that are in the wrestling.
Especially in our circle.
Especially in comics, yeah. And like kind of nerd culture stuff. And it's beyond me.
It's
I don't get it.
It's so fucking funny, dude.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I was into it for a blink of an eye in the 90s.
Yeah.
Well, I got my old school favorites, and again, I do mean the old school guys, which happened to all show up at Santa Clara. When I'm like, should
Thomas
I
Jane.
know?
Thomas Jane.
Yeah. Oh, too young. No, what's it called? When they were coming in Santa Clara, I'm like, I want to see this new bullshit. And then I heard all my grandfathers are coming in, and they're all like walking down. Hulk Hogan was there. I was like, all the old guys were there.
They were there?
Yeah, I was like, I missed out on I could have gone to that one match and
Of
never have
course.
to go on back again. I would have seen everything I wanted to see.
Yeah, WrestleMania, they haul out everybody and anybody they can.
It was
basically.
Everyone that's still alive.
Yeah, but it was like,
I don't know. I'm the
You
older
know
of the
how
people
it-
that didn't know that.
You know how in comic books, every once in a while, they're just like, we haven't used so-and-so in a while.
It's
That's
called All
WrestleMania.
New
for-
Marvel insert number
yeah,
here.
but the one that we're having here at Levi's Stadium here locally, they just brought out. It was like Infinite Crisis. I don't care if you're like down on a wheelchair. We're gonna roll your ass out there and show you to people.
Infinite Crisis of
He means
Wrestlers.
Secret Wars. It's Secret Wars for you, Bryce.
Secret Wars
Oh,
for
okay.
me. Like the good stuff. Oh,
We need to translate
Oh, I
it.
love that story.
Yeah, the villains versus the heroes. Who else?
Yeah.
So another
Multiple dimensions.
another quick news story here, because Toby, thank you for. Yeah, I meant to talk about this first. We do have 100 Bullets movie.
Yes.
I thought there was going to be a TV show.
Oh,
so
movie?
We're already.
I would actually, I'll be honest, I would prefer a TV show.
Yeah,
I really
so-
do.
Yeah,
On a
so
cable channel.
Totally.
There was a 100 Bullets TV show talked about a couple years
How do you-
ago.
Yes.
Nothing
How do you
came
put
of
that
it.
into a movie.
Well,
Wait, like
Tom
straight
Hardy.
to DVD or like
Tom Hardy.
Tom
is,
Hardy's
is producing
producing.
and possibly
Oh,
starring
dude.
in 100
you
Bullets
can't do that in
movie.
even
so.
what I've read, which is not all of it. You can't do that in
Well,
a
I just
movie.
don't know. I just
There's a
don't.
lot to that story. I think it'd be a lot better as a series.
I just
But
don't know what happened to the
the Jeff Johns one.
to the TV show.
Yeah,
yeah.
which the
So,
Jeff Johns was trying to make.
yeah, so I don't know what happened there, but okay, that's
Ask
fine.
him. You're buddies with him.
Yeah, yeah. So another comic movie to possibly look forward to down the road. I still need to see Losers. I never saw that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I know you like that.
I really liked it.
Yeah, that's
The only problem was when Losers came out, everybody came out with the same kind of movie.
right.
It was Losers, A-Team, Expendables all at the same time.
Yeah.
And then they all kind of failed together at the same time. I was like, no! I want
just
my A-Team
remember
trailer.
They all
sequel.
had certain things about them that were good.
I just remember going
Bullshit.
to the
They were all really
Losers
good,
panel
except for Expendables.
at WonderCon, and this was right after they announced the casting of Captain America. So the first thing they did was stood up there and like, please don't ask any questions about Captain America.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, for Chris Evans? Yeah. That dude is in a lot of comic book movies.
Yep.
And he's so good in Winter Soldier. Did I mention I just watched that?
Yeah?
I know I did.
So, quick, Supergirl's coming out in the not too distant future.
Yeah.
And there's been a little talk about what characters that'll be on that. While Arrow and Supergirl are not going to cross over, but there will be promos for each other, which is always nice. But
I have a theory on why they're not going to cross over, besides being on different networks.
I think they're in different worlds. I mean,
Well,
they said Superman is
yeah, because if you have Supergirl at the same time as Arrow and Flash, it would mean that Superman has already existed in Arrow and Flash, and never mentioned that would not work.
Wait a minute. I thought that Dane Didio was already on mic talking about how it's called the multiverse.
Which is
yeah.
that could work too. I mean, that could work
Like
too.
the different networks and the different
Can
movies and
cross
the different,
over if they
and the
want
different
to.
continuities.
But-
I thought that he established
Yeah,
the multiverse.
yeah.
as
But
their
I
thing.
have a feeling that Supergirl is actually a little further down the timeline. So if we do see a Flash and Arrow, that we might see an older Flash or Arrow on Supergirl.
That'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
All I'm excited about is the fact that we're getting Maxwell Lord. which means we're so much closer to Booster Gold.
Yeah, Maxwell Lord confirmed to be in it, as well as obviously General Lane, Lois Lane's dad. There's a quote here of General Zod being in it, but it got
changed, though, right?
That may be a mistake. But Red Tornado is supposed to be a supporting character in it as well in some fashion, so that's cool. I like Red Tornado. So,
what is that fucking labs that is a big part of Superman? Star Labs. Isn't he a big part of Star Labs, Red Tornado?
Yeah. In some fashion, yeah.
So, okay.
So there you go.
I would say the actress, though, is really kind of living up. Kind of like Stephen Amell, how he's kind of owning Arrow and kind of pushing it and, like, you know, doing all public things. The actress for Supergirl is doing a lot of things for, like, little young girls and stuff like that and making a lot of people happy. I was like, okay, that's awesome. That's really cool.
Yep, yeah. I got some high hopes for that, so.
That is cool. The red capes are coming.
Oh,
the red capes are coming. I'm so funny.
So, Bryce, here's a story that you're going to love, okay?
Is it about Cable or Deadpool? Or X-Men? Or Marvel? Or Secret Wars?
A little bit about all those guys.
Or anything?
We don't check in here every month and do top sales chart stuff, but when it is, you know, kind of this one-sided, probably worth mentioning.
We don't always check sales charts, but when we do, Bryce is here.
Bryce
and
is
standing
here.
up.
That's not true. Because usually Marvel is numbers 2 through 10, and Batman is number 1. And if it's trade paperbacks, Marvel is fucking like 9th and 10th.
yeah.
If that.
Yeah. Well, for the month of July, which was neck deep in Secret Wars crossovers, like we are full Secret Wars go at this point. Marvel, a staggering 45.52% of unit sales, meaning nearly 1 out of every 2 comics sold in America was a Marvel comic. And
I mean, that's how it should be. What is it normally?
And nearly 48% of the dollar share, because they're obviously a little higher price than DC. So, just ridiculous. No, that was not a slam. That was just, that's the truth.
It sounded like a slam. I'm used to you slamming them. So
No.
Wait, what
Marvel,
is it normally?
I mean, it goes back and forth. DC
35%?
DC has taken the top charts a few times. DC is usually somewhere in the 28 to 30. Marvel's in the 30 to 35. This year has been Marvel's no question asked. Star Wars, Secret Wars, our Spider-Gwen. These books are performing on a level.
Rocket Raccoon #1.
Well, again, Loot Crate stuff. These books are performing on levels that are just fucking unheard of. And this isn't solely because variants have a lot to do with it, but the first prints of these books are selling. So Marvel is just firing on all fucking cylinders right now.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Secret Wars was a fucking great move. It was like Age of Apocalypse line wide.
But this is, that
would have been my pitch if I were to go into fucking. Who would have been in charge? Axel Alonso? Who would I have had to talk to?
Yeah.
Guys, Age of Apocalypse, but line wide.
But this is actually something that gets a little more concerning because DC is actually not too far off from their normal spot. They're at 28% of the market share. Image slipped a little bit at just under 10% of the market share. I think what we're finally seeing is, here at our store, we've, I don't discount independent books at all, but I don't know. Like, there hasn't been a lot of movement on the indie side as far as single issues go, and Marvel, DC, and Image taking up almost 80% over 80% of the market is that's not really normal. Like, they're at 82% or 83% of the market. Those 3 companies alone.
You mean it should be higher or lower?
It's usually lower. Like Marvel and DC are dominating on a level they haven't since like the 80s, right? I mean, it has not been this kind of one-sided in a while. Now, there's really good selling independent books, and Image obviously is the vast majority of it, but Image is almost, 1 out of every 3 Image books sold is an Image book. 1 out of every 3 indie books is an Image book. That's crazy talk compared to just a couple of years ago.
Well, that sounds totally normal talk.
It's not, though. Not if you go back 5, 10, 15, especially 10, 15 years.
Well, do you think some of that shift of percentages from, Star Wars going from Dark Horse back to Marvel?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Dark Horse lost that percentage permanently, but
it's
been increased exponentially in sales versus what Dark Horse had.
Right. If Star Wars alone is 1 or 2% of comic sales.
Well, here's the thing. Star Wars, the one Star Wars comic from Marvel, is like 10 times what Dark Horse's total Star Wars monthly sales were for every title combined. Like, Star Wars is insane.
Are Star Wars, just that title,
Yeah.
alone, more in terms of sales than they were at Dark Horse? Are they selling
way
more under Marvel?
Like 100 times more.
Is that because the distribution, I assume, is way better with Marvel than it is with Dark Horse?
Yeah, I mean, just everything. I mean, you have to look. Okay, Lando Calrissian #1 sold just shy of 200,000 copies. Right, Star Wars
hell,
#7.
really?
Star Wars #7 sold 160,000 copies. That's a lot of fucking comics.
Yeah. Wow.
And again, variants obviously bump all that up. Archie #1 sold 101,000 copies.
Is that the one with Staples?
There are like 27 covers on it. Yeah. And that number will stay high. You know, Civil War #1 was 170,000. The only DC book in the top 10 here is Batman, again, with almost no variant covers at 117,000.
You know, I don't frequently agree with you, but man, it was a podcast or two ago. You were talking about Age of Apocalypse and Civil War.
Yeah.
And you were talking about, I mean, you were fucking preaching about how those books would have fucking crushed.
And these
if they
sales are
came
still
out.
ridiculous, but I kind of wonder how many copies are still sitting on shelves on these books, because the heat is definitely a little off. I mean, Secret Wars is still selling,
Like,
on average, way higher than what Marvel was selling
I don't
previously.
agree with you that they all should have done it in the same month, because I think that there's a benefit to rolling it out over several months in terms of people having more in their wallet. But I think that those two titles I'm calling out. Anyway,
Well-
I don't want to get off track from this talk track, because I like this talk track. But I those two titles, it's like, how did those guys not fucking launch that in June or July or whenever it
Yeah.
launched? Like, that
Well,
was
Civil War-
fucking...
Civil
Like, they
War
launched a
launched
bunch
late.
of fucking dogs that month.
Yeah.
And it's like, how did you guys miss Civil War and Age of Apocalypse in the first month when people had money to spend?
Well, there's
people bought Where Monsters Dwell, which is
Yeah.
not a bad book, but it's like, fuck. What are you doing?
Well, the amount of guys getting every single book month 1 versus month 4 is very different. It's a very different group of people, which is, you know...
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Right. So real quick here, top 10. Secret Wars #4 sold 221,000 copies. That's their #1 book. Lando, Civil War, Star Wars, Batman in the 5th place at 117. Darth Vader #7 at 114,000. Again, insane numbers. Archie #1 at 101. Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows #2 with, again, very few variant covers comparatively, 93,000 copies. That's a success any way you look at it. Age of Apocalypse #1 at 88,000 copies. Again, you
Age
know,
of Apocalypse #1 did less than Renew Your Vows #2.
yeah. #10, Guardians of Nowhere #1 to 81,000 copies. And there's a book definitely bolstered by variant sales. But I get to this because I want to get the Justice League #42, which is the #11 spot at 81, also 81,000.
So Marvel had 1 through 10?
Marvel had 1 through 10 except for Batman. Yeah, and Archie.
And
Archie.
Yeah.
So
course, Batman.
then this has been
Oh,
kind of...
Archie.
Yeah, but how impressive is it that Archie is
that's
Archie,
huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Why is that huge? Fiona Staples, big reboot. What?
Mark Waid. Yeah. Oh, yeah, no.
Because
100,000
when-
copies that's good numbers.
No, I'm saying
Yeah.
there's no fucking surprise that, of course, that was going to be in the top 10. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, with the team and everything, yes, it was a no-brainer.
No,
it would
it's-
do well, but
Yeah, good for
to
them.
do comparable to like a lot of the other books that's up there with, like, don't get me wrong, Archie is one of those staples from a comic shop. You always expect to see Archie.
yeah.
It just you never expect to see Archie in the top 10.
Yeah.
I guess I just don't know.
It's a great book,
side of
too.
things.
You never
It's a great
expect
book,
people to keep coming in going, do you have copies of Archie #1?
Hey, I've restocked for like the 3rd time of #1s.
Okay.
It's selling really
I'm not
well.
a fucking comic store owner.
good.
Mark Waid is super hot. Fiona Staples is super hot.
Yeah.
Archie's been making waves for the past couple of years now. I'm not surprised at all by that.
I think it's actually more Staples than Wade, just because Wade jumps on a ton of different books and not all of the like. You look at his stuff on like Rocketeer and stuff. It's not like those books were selling 100,000 copies or anything like that.
I'll meet you like, yeah, I don't think it's necessarily one more than the other. I'll meet you halfway. I think that Fiona has caught like much more of the groundswell in the past 2 years, obviously. Sorry, not 2 years, 3 years. Whereas Wade has been like like the fucking Cal Ripken in terms of consistency for decades. I mean, literally decades, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh, don't get me wrong. I love Wade, and I'll check out anything he writes. I'm just saying that I think his name alone, given the amount of indie work he does, his indie work tends to sell well, but this is a whole new level.
Right. So I think we're agreeing, basically.
To give you,
it's fucking Fiona's indie cred plus Wade's indie cred plus an Archie reboot plus
it's
fucking
plus
number
27 covers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, real quick though, to give you an example of I feel like I talked about this a while back. I don't know if I did. But back, if you go back again 5-10 years, you looked at the top 300 comic sales charts. The number 300 spot, generally not in the 3 digits. I mean, usually it's selling at least 1,000 copies, sometimes more. Usually not, 1,200 or something like that. I don't know why the chart has a bunch of stuff under 300 this time. The 479th best-selling comic to come out in July from Diamond Comics is Zombie Tramp at number 10. That sold 2,515 copies. That's twice more than what that number 300 comic used to sell. The number 300 comic right now being Bart Simpson Comics at 97. Bart Simpson Comics number 97, was 5,446 copies. The bottom of the chart is like 5 times higher than it used to be. There is a lot of comics being sold these days. These are insane numbers comparatively to what they were just years ago. So, I don't want to discount the small press and the independent side. They're selling a lot. It's just Marvel and DC and Image are selling so many. So for the small guys, they're selling a lot more comics than they used to, but the big guys are selling even more, which again, I don't know if we're heading, you always have to expect there's going to be a burst at some point, but it has been staggering this year.
Well, that's awesome then.
It is awesome. Yeah. Year to year, it's been up over the last couple of years, and this
You're in
year
the right business then, Ryan Higgins.
This year has been staggeringly.
I feel
good.
like buying a fucking season pass to Disneyland and going every other weekend.
Hey, good idea.
No, I was just going to say, I don't know. The only thing that throws me a little bit is just looking down the wall and thinking about the physical space a lot of these books take.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Yeah, the fact that there's more being put out by Image now also makes it harder for other companies to get space on a wall.
Well, I've talked about this before, and I think it generally comes down to a lot of stores are doing, for a lot of titles, and not just indie, I do this with Marvel and DC stuff as well, certain titles that are pre-order only, because there is just not enough space in the wall for every comic being published. So if you're selling...
You better stock Fraggle Rock.
The hardcover in your box if you want.
Excellent, but you better stock it in the store.
I get a copy or two. There's a lot of books that if you're selling less than 10 copies of a book, and again I've probably said this before, it doesn't make a lot of sense to stock shelf copies of that, because you're not going to profit much if you're selling under 10 copies of a book. So a lot of the small press and independent stuff, I feel, never even gets on the shelf in a lot of stores, and that's not the fault of the publishers, really the fault of the comic store.
For you, it's like this week's a prime example. Spawn. You sell 2 copies of Spawn.
The first copies of Spawn that we've stocked in this store in years, because I have 2 new subscribers that get it.
Mm-hmm. But before, you wouldn't even stock it because nobody would buy it.
I haven't in years. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Haven't had a single copy of
Nobody even noticed it, huh?
Well, Exo Manowar is now sub-only.
The vast majority of Valiant is sub-only at this point. Unfortunately, it just...
Oh, that's why I haven't been getting my Ninjak?
That hasn't really been coming out.
It hasn't been a Ninjak in a long time. Yeah, they're unfortunately, Valiant's model just didn't seem to work for a lot of our customers, and I get shelf copies of maybe 1 or 2, but again, it's only a copy or 2. But again, that's most independent books is, oh, cool, sub-only, Boom, IDW, Dynamite.
I was semi-joking about you stocking Fraggle Rock. I think it really
well, the kid stuff's a little bit different. I'll generally have a little extra on it because a copy or 2, and
what kid knows Fraggle Rock?
They'll sell eventually.
Unless they know Toby.
They do.
I know what Fraggle Rock is.
All right,
You're not a kid.
We got some random questions here. Let's set up a few of these. These are actually kind of related, so we can answer these together. This is from Matt on Twitter. He says, "What movie do you want to see come out of Marvel next?" His suggestion is Submariner. Don on Twitter also asks, what Marvel hero have we not seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that you want to see? So,
can it be Netflix?
Sure.
I want to see Moon Knight really badly.
Well, Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yeah, that counts Netflix. That counts TV.
I want to see Moon Knight as a Netflix show. I don't think it will work as a movie, but I want to see Moon Knight.
Oh, dude, Moon Knight as a Netflix show would be fucking incredible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to see it as a movie. I want to see it as a Netflix show.
Although, dude, I gotta say, it's going to be interesting to see the development if they have. So Daredevil is obviously, I mean, only slightly disrespect to your fucking DC like hard-on TV shows, but like Daredevil was the best superhero TV show ever.
Yeah.
And so like, but when they come up with like Iron Fist and then Moon Knight and then how many street level like
well they're not
beat 'em up
they're not seasoning they're not
shows
they're not seasoning all of them. So they're and you guys talked on a previous podcast. They're doing Daredevil's getting multiple seasons. Mm-hmm. Jessica might not. Power Man might not. Iron
you
Fist.
are literally saying might not with no idea because.
No, they
a couple
announced
months
it.
ago, you would have said might not about Daredevil because they didn't know before Daredevil aired.
But they announced this.
I know, but before it aired, they didn't know. So as soon as that airs, you could be like, Jessica, yep, multiple seasons.
Oh yeah, if it's successful,
Possible.
yeah, if it's successful,
Right.
But what I'm
Like
saying
anything.
is, a Moon Knight could be a 6-episode miniseries, could be a 10-episode miniseries, and them just having him show up later in other shows.
Dude, I'm on your
Just
side.
like- just like comic
I'm
books.
saying though that like Daredevil, you have a season, it's incredible.
Yeah.
But now we have Daredevil season 2. It's like going to be more of that. I mean, really more like martial arts street level.
Yes.
You want a Moon Knight.
Yes.
So do I.
Yes.
A Moon Knight, which is like more
Well, he's a
street level.
nut job, though.
You want like Iron Fist, more street level.
Yeah.
They all have their idiosyncrasies and their differences.
All the
Like,
TV stuff is going to be street level.
There is like a good amount of overlap.
Yeah, it's all going to be street level on the TV side.
I don't care if it's TV or a movie, but I want a She-Hulk.
That's what I was going to say.
I want that as a TV show, too.
God damn, that would be so cool.
get the Law and Order guys involved or something.
Yeah. Get Shatner on there as
Yeah.
Danny Crane. She-Hulk
so
on
fucking-
Danny Crane. That would be freaking fantastic.
That would be so good.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have picked this prior to this weekend, but my pick now from this weekend, and a rare casting choice, which I am terrible at this, but I actually have a cast too.
Oh dear, what are we even talking about?
So we need Ellie Kemper, who was also in the later season of The Office, but for my interest,
Where is this going?
The lead singer.
Is that the Kimmy Schmidt
the lead
chick?
actor in Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt? Yeah,
And
which
you're
is
going to go with Squirrel
which
Girl,
is
aren't
a
you?
really funny show.
Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt?
Yeah,
Fucking love that show.
it's really funny. She needs to play Squirrel Girl. She really needs to play.
That would be great casting for Squirrel Girl.
Yeah, that's dead fucking on. I want a Squirrel Girl TV show, and I want her to play Squirrel Girl, and I would be
That
so
would be
happy.
definitely not street level.
Oh, Squirrel is totally street level.
Yeah, but it'd be completely
I just
different.
fights Galactus.
It's going to be
but-
completely different tone, though.
That's okay. She won't get to fight Galactus because of the Fantastic Four.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Thank
I mean,
you. She'll be
I
fighting
think-
a big cloud.
I think either Carol Danvers is Miss Marvel or the new Miss Marvel. would
Well,
be
we're
fine.
getting a TV show, no question, or a movie, no question.
Yeah.
Captain
What was
Marvel.
the-
I don't know Miss Marvel, but Captain Marvel
Would
is. We are
it
getting
not
one.
be cool if somehow Marvel and Fox work it out and Galactus is the big bad in Phase 3?
That'd be cool.
Like after the Thanos thing? That'd be sick.
Now, what?
Yeah.
More big bad? You mean behind the scenes of Thanos?
No, he
as in
says
Phase 3. As in
After the Infinity stuff is all worked out.
We're in,
3
you mean
is
phase.
Thanos,
Yeah,
I
we're in
thought.
phase.
Oh,
you mean
fine. Phase 4, then
Yeah.
I don't care. You know what I'm saying.
Or apparently, if they build
I
up
didn't
to
know
it, it
you-
would be Phase 6.
Well,
at that
Charlie
point.
knew.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, my problem is,
Yeah, promise Galactus in Phase 4?
I have problems with the idea of Galactus not being part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, I don't really want to see him in a Fantastic Four movie at this point because I want the.
You haven't.
I know,
I
but-
don't necessarily like the space stuff, like Quasar and all
You
that
don't or you
Now
do?
you just lost me.
like the Annihilation
everyone.
stuff.
You don't like it?
No, I want that.
Well, yeah. But my only point is just I really want that scene of Galactus coming to the planet and you kind of see everybody going, holy shit, and being ineffectual against him. If I can't have that, I
Phase
don't want
4.
to see Galactus.
Deadpool just peeing on him and nothing works.
Phase 4.
I would love
So until the rights revert, I just ignore Galactus for
Phase
movies.
4.
Look, if I don't want to go back to it because none of us have seen the movie, but if you're Fox, what the fuck? And this is what I asked on Twitter that nobody answered sufficiently. Sorry, Ryan Hess. What are you doing with this license? I mean, it literally cost them So it's made $60 million.
Yeah,
and it cost them $120
to make
million dollars before you count in marketing, which is fucking another amalgamous number.
And that's where Green Lantern lost a lot of its money because they put a lot of money into marketing.
Same with Man of Steel.
Yeah,
we won't talk about that.
Well, Man of Steel made tons of money.
Listen to me. I'm going to say Man of Steel dumped a fucking ton of. Look.
Oh, no. All
right.
Hold on.
We've just changed gears.
Man
We're talking about Man of Steel. Look, so Man
was
of Steel
profitable before it sold one ticket. That is shocking. It wasn't. It wasn't because of its advertising. It was the reverse. It was the merchandising. People paid to get in the movie.
God, is this...
So you can fight at Denny's and you can bitch about it.
No, stop it. You're supposed to just drop the mic and walk away at this point. Do it.
It was money. IHOP, not Denny's.
Or IHOP, yeah, sorry. Anyway.
Fucking breakfastist bastard.
But that's the next movie is a fight in Denny's.
Who's a very big Man of Steel, secret Man of Steel fan? You remember what restaurant they fought in? That's good knowledge there. What else do you remember about that movie?
That's because I've
was
been
great?
Secretly watching it every weekend to get ready for our eventual Comic Conspiracy movie cast of Man of Steel. No, dude, how could I forget it was so bad? Okay. No, but what
I'm never eating pancakes there again. It was that bad.
My point is that Ryan has said, "Oh, it's going to make so much money. It's it's going to be a big summer blockbuster." And my point is that these Fantastic Four. Sorry,
Ryan said that.
That's what people thought. That's what people thought.
Really?
That it was going to make money regardless.
My point is that you guys have to consider that like these movies. It's not like if it makes $101 million for every $100 million that it spent, that it's like, it makes $1 million.
No, it needs to like double and triple.
It needs to like these studios, they measure these movies like they have one tent pole or like two, maybe three max, mini tent poles over the course of every season. And every
correct. Well, hold on.
I'm sorry.
No, sorry.
I was done.
Okay, that's fine. Correct me if I'm wrong, Toby, especially because I think you've heard this.
The first weekend. It's first 2 weekends, and that's it.
First weekend, and doubling the production budget is generally seen as a successful movie. If they don't double it, it's not successul. That's kind of what I've always heard.
They're pretty cutthroat.
Additionally, in addition to that, yes, correct. And in addition to that, every studio gets only 2, maybe 3 movies max over the course of any summer to have those movies in its arsenal. So they're like, okay, well, do I want to fucking blow my load on like one superhero movie, one Jurassic Park, and one Transformers, or do I want to have like a mix, and do I want to only promote one, or do I? And they have to sort of figure it out. And so if they like,
unless you're Disney, then they can just own the summer at this point.
Or Universal, fuck. Universal's cleaning up this year.
Fast and
so
Furious.
My point is that while Man of Steel was a success financially before, although not fucking critically, before it sold a ticket, as you say, those are one of those movies that it's like, it could have done so much more, is why it gets half the fucking crap that it gets, is because they have 1 to 2 tentpoles that they get. That studio gets for the summer. It needs to fucking double, triple, quintuple, like its budget to be considered a success. Just making its money back, or even doubling it only, doesn't do it, because they only get one.
I mean, Man of Steel made like $700 million. That's a success any way you cut it. I don't care how much it costs.
Yeah,
but you do care how much it costs.
Well, but it didn't cost $500 million. That's what I'm saying.
But if it only made 2x instead of another movie that could have replaced it that would have made 3x, it would have been considered.
It made like 4 times its budget.
You're going to lose the argument that Man of Steel didn't make enough money.
It didn't make Avengers money, but it made a shitload of money.
So that's not my argument, though. My argument is that it did not make as much money as that another good movie in its place could have made.
Well, we could completely disagree there, but okay.
Well, because
other than Man of Steel, Harry Potter was the only thing making big money for WB. I mean, Man of Steel made a lot of money.
It was the only thing making money. I'm just saying that it was a terrible movie that other things could have made better money for.
No, you can make
not wrong.
You could make an argument that if Man of Steel was better, it would have made more money.
TMNT was a bad movie from what I heard, but it made money. It made a lot of money.
Don't get me started on there. See,
the point I'm
like
trying to make.
That's like a global audience.
It like
different talk track.
What do you mean? Superman is global audience.
Yeah.
Also Superman. Yes, also Superman. Yes. It's all because of the global audience.
Right.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Man of Steel are making all its money. Yes.
And every movie.
But I want to point out, I disagree if Man of Steel is not a bad. I think Man of Steel is pretty darn good, but.
Oh, fucking whoop.
Wait, hold on. Bryce.
Well, you're the one that keeps pointing it out.
The U.S. box office is near meaningless these days. Yeah. It is the global box office.
The U.S. box office is 40%. How is 40% near meaningless?
Because that's 40% out of 100. They make so much money overseas that no. What I'm saying is the success of the U.S. box office is meaningless. It's rare when a movie makes a lot of money in the U.S., but no money outside. It's for these summer blockbusters, I mean. So when you have these big movies, they generally make more money overseas than the U.S. They make a ton of money in the U.S., don't get me wrong. But every movie is counted with their global total.
I'm well aware. And by the way, that's the only reason that Man of Steel got a reboot.
And it's the only reason Avengers made $1 billion, and Age of Ultron, and Iron Man 3.
Yes, with the exception that Iron Man 3 and Avengers 2 would have gotten all sequels. By the way, they are all sequels of each other.
Man of Steel would have got a sequel with its U.S. budget if that's all they had.
Man of Steel is getting a sequel.
They spent $200 million because they think they can get $800 million. If they thought when they could only get $400 million, they only spent $100 million. When they could only get $100 million, they spent $20 million. I mean, that's the world we live in now.
Right? Can we get back to the Fantastic Four?
Yeah.
Why?
It's also the thing is also
we're talking about that. We're talking about other heroes.
The thing is also you have these summer blockbusters that have merchandising, like Ryan said, like you have
merchandising.
Like there's toys, there's posters, there's all this stuff.
They should make a Fantastic Four flamethrower.
Yeah. Fantastic Four doesn't have any merchandising.
Ryan actually made me laugh for the first time ever. Right? That's pretty good.
Like there's no advertising. There's no merchandising for Fantastic Four around it.
Yeah,
there can't be. But that
or X-Men.
We talked about this multiple times.
Yeah. I know, but that hinders also, in essence, exposure
doesn't.
Out there.
Fox can spend the money if they want to, or make a good movie.
Yeah.
No. I guess the only thing I'm going to say in terms of because I looked into this a while back, and from what I understand, the reason why the first 2 weekends basically count is because there's basically a sliding scale on the amount of money that the theater makes compared to the studio makes, meaning opening weekend they make some crazy amount, like 95% of the ticket sales go back to the movie studios, and then week 2 it's like 90%, and then week 3 it's like 75%. So when you go see a movie in a theater that's been out for 6 weeks, the movie studio's now only making less than like half of the ticket sales. And that's why they only care about the first couple of weeks, and that's why when you talk about Fantastic Four and it's like, well, it's already halfway towards what it costs to make. Well, they needed it to be closer because anything it does this next weekend, they won't get as large a cut. Yeah. And anything it does the subsequent weekend, they won't get. So
if
their return is...
If your first week global box office, U.S. and international, assuming they open at different times, you count for those first weeks. If they don't hit the production budget by the end of that, it's done. Like that's
pretty much.
Yeah, that's where the money is.
So it doesn't really matter if it has an Insurgents after it's been out 5 weeks or something, because at that point the studio's not making the money on the ticket sales.
Titanic
totally
was there for like
the
a
subject.
year.
How did Insurgent get a sequel?
That was planned.
No, I know isn't it a young adult trilogy?
Yeah, well, quadrilogy, isn't it like 4 books, 5 books?
It's like 3 or 4.
Yeah, Brock would know.
My point is, what the fuck? Like, I saw the first movie, and I know it's based on a book, and I know they're trying to Hunger Games that shit.
Yes.
What the fuck? Like,
the
first movie was terrible.
I like the first movie. I'll tell you why.
There's a ton of that stuff.
No,
I'll tell you why. Because you liked Man of Steel and you have terrible taste in movies.
Fuck you. No, I'll tell you why. I actually thought the movie is not good either, but I love the freaking soundtrack. The score was amazing in that movie. The score is bloody amazing in that version of whatever that movie is called. In fact, I bought this.
No movie should succeed based on only having
absolutely.
good soundtrack.
I think they should, but yeah, nobody else probably watch it. But I love the score in that movie.
Any more questions?
Yes, we have a couple more. Let's hit these up so we can wrap this up.
No, we can't wrap this up because me and Ryan have something to share.
Do we?
Yes, we do. We went on a quest as of Sunday.
Oh.
We became fucking superheroes.
Hold on. I have like 2 or 3 more questions. Let me do these and we'll talk about that briefly. Yeah.
Well, that's a teaser.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
Ivan, on Twitter asks, when is your Ryan Rapidly on Multiversity? And I need to, that's a little Bryce Briefly joke there.
Really? Nobody got it.
Yeah.
Said nobody.
When the hardcover comes out, I'll probably reread through it, and then I can talk about it for a bit. Stefano asks what I think is one of the greatest nerdy questions of all time. He says...
Who would win in a fight?
Stefano is very bummed, if anyone at DC is listening to, that you guys have stopped doing your gloss stock cover on your $3.99 titles.
Yes, I'm bummed.
The what?
The glossy cover.
The
that DC
$3.99
had.
books had a little bit more of a gloss to them.
They had a glossy cover.
Yeah.
They had like that cardstock glossy cover stuff. As a retailer, I hated those because first of all, they kind of damage easy, but they also
don't stack.
They don't stack well. They stack very poofy. I hate them. Anyway, so I'm fine they're gone. But Stefano doesn't like it. He says, with the DC's era of glossy covers officially gone, I was curious, what or who has been your favorite paper stock for floppies? What a great question. I love questions like this.
This is a nerdy question.
This is a super nerdy question.
My favorite is still Ultimate line. When they first started, they had the cardboard and they had the cool paper on the inside, and it was skinny at the same time, and it was classy. I kind of dug that.
I love...
For those of us that were in the bathroom, can you repeat the question?
With the DC's era of glossy covers officially gone, I was curious, what has been your favorite paper stock for floppies? Or what company? Or what comics?
Oh, goddamn.
See, for me...
This is a can of worms.
Well, there's two. Because,
remember the 90s?
Yeah.
Are we talking about the 90s?
They had the worst paper stock ever in the 90s.
The best paper stock ever.
Have you looked at any of those books recently?
I don't know. Marvel's current paper stock on some of the books is
Dude,
worse.
there was fucking Age of All Apocalypse
shit, you
had
almost broke the
like a
mic
glossy cover covered with a clear plastic cover
That's-
on Age of Apocalypse Omega and Omega.
Fine.
Alpha had its own. Sorry, that was Alpha.
hold on.
Omega had its own that was like a foil embossed,
Hold on.
three-dimensional
Hold on.
print one.
That's not what he's asking.
Avengers every
that's-
other month had its own
Again,
this
Bryce.
is some bullshit.
Not what he's asking.
Yeah.
He's not asking about the foil cover stuff, specifically the paper stock. So there's a difference.
I mean,
now,
isn't
those
covers paper stock? Isn't that what covers are?
That's different. The what
Is
you're
it
thinking
different?
of, you're thinking of that wasn't a normal thing. That was
Those were variants.
Yeah,
Those
it wasn't normal because
very
Marvel was doing it
specials.
every month. That's
well, sure. No, what he means is, okay, if you go back to like the Silver Age, how it was like the newsprint with the real shitty, especially the Marvel had really shitty covers because they had a very cheap cover stock. When you get into the 70s and 80s, it was a little bit different. The 80s had the Baxter paper, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with what that is.
Oh, the
It
color
was-
didn't keep really well on those.
Well, that
Was it
comes,
the 70s or is it the 80s?
The 80s was the Baxter paper, but the problem... So there was a very thick paper compared to everything else at the time.
Ugh.
The second run of New Teen Titans was on that. Legion of Superheroes. Outsiders was on that. But the problem with that paper was it was coming from the shit newsprint
Yeah, I
print
didn't like
and
that
color.
because I was thinking about binding like all you fools here, or not fools. But then I looked at some of those paper and the colors all messed up, and half the stuff you can't read anymore because it started bleeding on the other side.
Okay, no, you're
and-
thinking of just the regular paper during that time.
Okay.
The Baxter paper, Brock, go grab a comic. The Baxter paper was way thicker, but the problem with it is exactly what you're talking about. It was using the shitty newsprint or whatever the equivalent of it at that time was coloring job. So it didn't look right.
Yeah.
What happened was, and this is where you're coming from, Bryce. What happened was in the 90s. Again, I'm not an expert on this, but this is my understanding. Marvel bought Malibu Comics for the computer coloring. That was sort of the reason they bought them. So Malibu, all those covers that you like, Bryce, all the Age of Ultron foil covers and all that shit. That happened because of Marvel buying Malibu's printing process, which allowed them a way greater printing property for coloring and printing, especially cover stock, but inside as well.
shitty, not shitty.
Yeah. So Bryce and Toby are looking at the
this is the shit.
yeah.
That's the regular.
The
print of the
80s
time.
regular Marvel and DC paper stock is atrocious because it would bleed
This
through
is
the other
actually
side.
holding up really well here. I've seen some really, really books that didn't hold up really well at all.
The Baxter paper is way thicker. It's basically pre-digital printing. It's way better because it's so thick. But then you move to current stuff and it's way different. So Yeah.
That is a fucking
But because
nerdy
because of
question, and I love
Malibu,
it.
because of
Yeah,
Malibu,
you should know more than anybody about this since you're binding everything. You
Why
should
the
like
fuck do I need to be a paper stock
well,
expert?
because you can actually tell. You can look at this book and this book.
Because,
It's
I
not
mean,
the same.
Ryan, when you did your binding for Death of Superman, right? We were talking about gluing the pages together.
Oh,
This
yeah.
did
right?
not
and
work.
it just didn't work.
Oh,
And then-
didn't it work? I was going to follow that.
I mean,
idea.
it's
it's possible if
it
you
just
have,
didn't take.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh! Look
Like
at
I
the back
said.
of this book. I like to point everybody out. There's an NES or whatever video game system this is for Masters of the Universe. They're like 4 colors.
when I went to do Secret Six,
Yeah.
I needed to actually glue a couple pages together. But even DC's paper stock back in like the late 2000s, it's that weird glossy thin kind
Yeah,
of stuff that
it doesn't take
It
well.
doesn't take very well. I mean, pressing it and since it's been pressed and put together and shoved in,
Yeah.
on my bookshelf and kind of condensed. It's flattened out. It looks fine. There's no problem. But when I first glued it, it was wavy and nasty and all that stuff.
Oh,
And
I hate the
it
wavy.
doesn't take very well. But like currently, Marvel's been going through another round of changing their paper stock,
Well, it's been a while now.
right? Because they did it a few years ago, and then they've recently done it. But I mean, I don't know. My favorite paper stock. I mean, the current stuff's okay for DC.
I think their interior is fine.
yeah.
Their covers now
Cover's
are
been shit for a while.
for DC.
I think Marvel, but
Yeah, Marvel's been rough.
Marvel's
DC's
been rough.
mostly fine, but I wish I were a little.
Image just bounces around too much because it's creative.
actually-
Image chooses, right?
yeah, Image is not bad.
Well,
I was just going to say I got nothing.
IDW honestly.
Oh, I tell you what I
talk
hate,
about
though.
hardcovers,
Yeah,
then I can chime in.
No.
Yeah.
I tell you what I hate though is shit. What
IDW.
brand is it? No. There's a brand that fucks up the bag and boards.
IDW.
So IDW now is fine.
Oh really?
They for a long time.
I hated them.
Whatever was in their
wavy.
paper
Yeah.
would mess up the with the bag.
Yeah,
really weird.
Also, that weird Italian company that
Yeah.
put out books for like
GG
3 issues.
GG Studios,
yeah, I hated
yeah.
them too. Their paper
Yeah.
is totally fucking up the bags.
Yeah, IDW though now, I mean, by far away has the best cover stock, best paper stock. IDW is awesome. They do a great job.
Can we go back to talking about something that I can
yes.
get unnecessarily emotionally invested in rather than something that fires my
last
brain?
question, real quick here.
Last question. No,
This
it's
is from
not.
Jason, and then but
Well,
then
we have
Bryce,
our
or,
quest
sorry,
story.
and then Toby's gonna.
Me
we got a
and
story.
Ryan went on a quest on Sunday.
Real quick question from Jason here. He says he finally got to reading the first 2 trades of Southern Bastards and Sex Criminals. He
Oh,
says,
you can talk to Brock.
He says I really enjoyed both. Thoughts?
Brock.
Southern Bastards is fucking amazing. I can't wait for the hardcover.
Would you hold your balls and say fucking amazing?
It's fucking amazing.
I read the first trade. I really liked it. I haven't read the second one yet, but it's good.
The thing with Southern Bastards is
not his best, but it's good.
I want to point out that Charlie is shopping for an engagement ring right now, even though he's already married.
It started really well. I just think that this thing with Coach has gone on for too long.
Well, it's done. That was the second story.
Right, but it took a fucking year.
0 year. I mean, I enjoyed it. Reading
0
the scene.
year. Fucking who liked that one? Am I right?
No, Southern Bastards is really amazing. Sex Criminals. If you got past the first couple issues, congrats.
It's on my list. I need to read it. I haven't
Enjoy
read it.
Cumworld. I mean,
Yeah, everyone loves
Excuse me, what did you just say?
Cumworld.
everyone loves Sex Criminals except for everyone on this podcast. I actually need to sit down and read it. It's
I've
kind of
nothing
my.
against
Can
it,
we-
but I've just never read it.
Can we
Is
say
it-
how
is it-
awesome We Are Robin is? It's bloody fantastic.
We Are Ramen?
No! We Are Robin! Don't make fun of the half-Asian dude here.
Wait, what?
Toby.
What are we
What?
talking about?
I didn't like it.
I didn't
What?
like it either.
Come on! Night Thrasher in the DC universe!
Yeah.
You guys are full of shit.
I thought it was
Only one of those things is
Well,
cool,
you did.
Toby.
You
thought it
did
was-
not like Night Thrasher in the Marvel universe either, so I know you're gonna hate it.
He's the worst of the best characters ever created. Yes.
the worst of the
Of
best.
the best.
Yeah.
He's talking about the New
Fucking
Warriors.
Yeah.
troll.
No, We Are Robin is not bad. It just
I fucking
did.
love it.
I was hoping it would be awesome.
fucking
It
love
didn't
it.
hit me as much as I
Wait,
want.
for
I
those of
love
us that don't read DC on a regular basis, what the fuck is this?
A bunch of kids are inspired by Batman and Robin to protect Gotham, so they form.
So they all become Robin
Oh,
and
they all
not
become
Batman?
Robins.
Yes.
That's the fucking their first mistake.
They're essentially recruited. To me, it's
sure.
basically like the Joker gang from like Batman Beyond or whatnot, but It's a Robin gang that's organized by some mysterious benefactor that they haven't revealed yet.
Why are they not forming a Batman gang? Why are they forming a Robin gang?
It's just more of Batman recruiting small children to make them beat up adults. Like that's it.
That's wrong. How?
Like when he does it once at a time, it's okay. But when it's a group, not so much.
But this time he's distanced himself, so when the Robins die, he can be like,
you know what?
I had nothing to do.
You know what? This is the thing: is he needs to stop focusing on these Robins and get the goddamn outsiders.
You guys all suck because I like it.
Hold on. So we're already past wrap up time. So let me thank some people real quick. Toby will talk real quick.
Not real quick. We have to tell our whole story. We had a 3-issue adventure.
Okay, well let me thank some people on Patreon really quick, and then we'll talk about that.
We should have talked about this first.
We could have. Yeah, I didn't think about it.
Yeah, it's really comic related.
I also like We Are Robin, by the way.
It is very comic book related.
So thank you for everyone that follows, that donates to us on Patreon.
He fucking likes everything.
No, it doesn't!
At patreon.com/comicconspiracy.
His worst review is
it doesn't have a hardcover yet.
Hold on.
I've had a lot lower than 7.
Once in a fucking once every 3 months, you have one that's 6.5.
Every once in a while, I give something 2 eye bleeds.
I've been listening to your fucking other podcast for a minute, and you've never done that.
Everyone.
Hello, Ryan
I want to
Higgins.
thank everyone that donates to us on Patreon.
Oh, those guys are so incredible, those guys that donate on Patreon.
Especially...
Seriously?
I will. Albert Soy.
Albert Soy, man.
He has an awesome app at Plant Everywhere. It's on iTunes right now, so you should go get that.
Yeah, I've downloaded it. I
don't have an Apple product.
Nobody's perfect. Ryan.
Is that a social Plants vs. Zombie game?
No. It's an awesome photo sharing app. You should go check that out. Also, Jody Lawson at the TriadComicStudios.com.
Triad Studios?
TriadComicsStudios.com. And they got some small press comics they're working on there. Go check those guys out. Also, Julian Titus at the Nerds Without Pants podcast at pixelbit.com, PIXLBIT.
Can we do that once? Can we, in their honor, wear no pants to this podcast?
Every time I wear shorts.
Every time.
Challenge, except...
but especially for everyone that backed us on Patreon, you should go... I mean, I know we don't do too much on the Patreon page itself. It's not very intuitive. We do, all our Q&A stuff through Twitter and everything like that.
All of us would have to donate to the Patreon to be able to
I know.
comment on the Patreon.
They're working on all that type of stuff. So hopefully the actual Patreon user interface becomes better in time. But it's a great service. And you can send us questions on there and contact us through there. But you should go check our feed after you listen to this podcast, because there may be a special something up there for you guys. And if you haven't donated, you can donate to us at Patreon/Comic Conspiracy, and at least for a little while, you can also find this special bonus nugget up there. Can't say we're going to do these all the time, but every now and again, maybe we'll throw something up there.
A nugget is certainly what you'd call it.
Yeah.
That's okay. If more people donate, I'm sure we will do more.
We will.
For better or worse.
Yes.
And so, Toby.
Yes.
We did something on Sunday.
Yes. It was a rather nice Sunday. It was early. I went up there in my car to my friend's house, and then, I had him recruit him. And then we went down to Fort Mason. It's a cloudy San Francisco day, and then we began our adventure.
Sounds like my last date on Tinder.
Ooh, Ryan
or Grindr.
Oh hey,
that'd be Brock. So me and Ryan went up to San Francisco to J-Pop Festival with all the weeboos and other normal people, and we decided to go to the Puzzle Fighter thing. Well, no, not Puzzle Fighter. Puzzle 1000 Treasure Hunters.
Yes.
The dudes that do these real escape games where you get locked up in a room and we have to solve puzzles to get out. This is one of those more public ones where it's more like a scavenger hunt. Yeah. I totally call it the Goonies Adventure. It is totally like the Goonies Adventure.
And this time, it was superhero-based.
Yes. So the storyline was you have to become a superhero, and it was so cool. So first we go there, we get our first issue, and more on that later. And the first thing you do, you have to create your superhero. You what your superhero name is, your costume, your symbol.
Easy. My name is Cable Pool.
Well, I was the Toby Man, and my friend Ken, he was Mr. Smiles. So Toby Man and Mr. Smiles had to find our sidekicks. So we had to go find these 3 sidekicks
Jim
and get
and
more
Sugar
clues for him. So the sidekicks would have to like, well, if you're a superhero, where's your symbol? You have to actually show him your symbol. And then the other guy would like, hey, what's your name? You have to tell him your superhero name and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. Then we had once we got our clues from the sidekicks, we had to, was it the robber? There was like a robber. Oh no, there was like someone that needed help on the inside. So we had to go find a dude that needed help. So there's in the crowd, there's a dude holding up a sign, I need help, and he goes like, well, what was his question? I don't even remember.
God, your story is like
it's all over the place. I know.
It's 9 out of 10. Like you have such great story capacity.
Yeah, right. It's like the opposite of that because it's all over the place.
No, it's like you're like almost there. Like your story.
Yeah, except for I forgot half of it.
You have the enthusiasm, but you forget half of it.
Yeah.
Well, it's a series of puzzles written. Puzzles that you have to solve, and they lead you to the next spot of what you're supposed to do.
Higgins doesn't have the energy that you do, but he has the knowledge that you don't.
So we're a good combo. Yeah. So anyways, I see Higgins like halfway through him and his fiance. I'm like, fuck you, we're going to beat you because we're not on the same team because I hate the Higgins. Yeah. So it's not in very good superhero fashion because I'm like, I'm fucking Nightwing and you're fucking Marvel, so fuck you.
The first time you were supposed to fight, right?
So like one of these...
Well, kind of did verbally.
So when you meet this
his
guy...
His fiance trash talked me.
When you meet this guy that needs help, he basically says, oh, hey, there was a robber, but he got away. He left you this series of clues. So you go from one clue to the next.
Right.
The first clue, it looks like a puzzle, right?
Yeah,
it looks like a get through the maze, right?
Yeah,
but it's actually only one way through it. And when you go through the entire maze, it spells out a word.
It built a word. It was so cool.
Which leads you, it takes a while, but you're like, oh, wait, I can't actually lose this maze. Yeah. It's just all the way through. And it spells out a word, and then you have to go find that table. It's the name.
And they give you the next clue.
It's the name of a company.
Thank you.
And so that leads you to the next clue. Then you solve that puzzle.
The bank robbery was happening at that booth, right? And they were like, I'm sorry, you missed the bank robbers. They already left. You have to go find them. And then you kind of build this word. They have another puzzle, and you're like, it's the firehouse. That's the next clue. And then they go, the other clue was the villain. They give you the villain symbol, right? So you go to the fucking firehouse, and then you fucking see the fucking villain over there just hanging out the firehouse. And they had this symbol on the ground where it says whenever you do this symbol, you could activate your superpower. So my superpower was I had super strength and I had to hit the ground.
We had.
Oh, you had the same thing.
Yeah,
so I had to hit the ground, and then she was like, "Oh!" Right? She would like fall behind, like Ashley hit her and stuff like that. Yeah. But that wasn't enough. Other heroes had to fight her too. So there's like dudes like running and placing the flash powers.
So they had.
There's like doing the brave powers.
You got a different. You got all these.
We
different,
need to videotape Higgins doing.
You got these different. Awesome. You got these different bracelets, and each bracelet was color coded.
Yeah.
And depending on what the color was, you were able to determine what your superpower was based on like another puzzle you had to solve. So the super strength one was a ground pound. So you would hit the ground like with your fist when you saw one of the symbols.
Smash, like a Hulk smash almost.
Yeah.
And then she would like fall back.
And it would do things, right? Other people had like telepathy and super speed and all this stuff. And so you have to kind of mimic your power, and you would affect the villain, and they would react differently depending on what your power was. But then you find out that you are actually being led to be trained by one Charles Xavier. Xavier at a gifted school.
Get the out
for superhumans.
And at the time, because we defeated her, she gave us the second issue, the next chapter in our story.
Right. Get the fuck out! That is so cool.
So then there's actually like a series of like physical challenges because you had to it's outside Fort Mason in San Francisco. It was maybe a 200-mile-an-hour wind there. Okay. You
are such a fucking pansy.
It was
first
Toby.
Of all, you open with the physical challenge, and I'm already like, yeah.
It was,
and the next thing he says, there's wind.
It was
Toby. 200-mile-an-hour winds.
How windy was it?
It was pretty windy.
That was
not the big problem, though. The big problem was that we had to shoot with a Nerf gun.
40-mile-an-hour winds, not 200-mile-an-hour winds.
So in this 40-mile-an-hour wind, you had to shoot a Nerf dart into a basket, which is challenging normally.
Oh, really? That actually...
Yeah.
Does sound legit.
So you have to...
Is that, like...
Hold on. Let me put this in terms Higgins can understand. the Wii archery, you
I
just have
did
to
it.
compensate and pull it up. And
Oh no,
and
no!
all that
I was
stuff.
trying to compensate, and I kept compensating
It's
too much.
hard.
Yeah,
I did it, but it took me a few times.
it was awesome because people had to line up on the other side. So if you miss, you just smash them in the face half the time. So
Just
you're
keep
not a
going
really
back.
good superhero. Yeah.
But then, so the next thing you had to do was you had to like walk this series of planks with like a stick with a ball, like a tennis ball on top.
You had to
Again,
work
with
on your
40
balance.
mile an hour winds, so it was easy enough to kind of stay.
That
on
was
it.
really easy. Come on, Ryan Higgins.
But I saw
man.
a lot of people who the ball just flew right off.
Yeah, but
because
they
of that
barely
wind.
walked on those wooden blankets.
No, I know.
Like, they just were falling.
But
off.
then probably the funniest one is the third one where there was like a series of
Yes.
like kind of limbo.
they had like these colored tiles on the ground.
You could only
and
step
they
on
had
one
like
color.
the limbo. Was it limbo? Limbo.
you,
Is that what
like
it's
you had
called?
to like climb up or over
over
under
the string, but it was hooked up to bells. So it was like Ninja Turtles 2 when Ernie Reyes had to pass the Foot Clan test where he can't like ring the bells and stuff.
No, I'm
and
thinking
Raphael
of,
goes and helps him.
Last Crusade when he has to get through the second challenge.
Sure,
Anyways,
but
Jehovah spelled with a Y.
it was awesome. So you had to like just you had to step only on the orange ones and avoid the bells. And then once you passed out, you graduated from the Savior School of Gifted Youngsters.
well, the problem that happened with me again
super
because of
jealous.
this wind. So
The fucking 200-mile-an-hour wind.
the wind was ringing the bell and make you feel like you were losing.
no, so I'm halfway through this series. This thing where I'm on my hands and knees. I'm like 1 foot to 1
You're
foot.
on your fucking hands and knees. Nobody else on the hands and knees.
oh yeah.
Well,
everyone.
Ian sees that every day. Don't worry about it.
It's so windy.
Moving. No. And right as I get to about the halfway point, I'm right through the second of the four little things that you're gonna go under. The wind picks up the entire back half of it and throws it off.
That's awesome.
The wind picks up because it's all these like little foam
Yeah.
kind of matching color.
Get the fuck out.
And the entire back half of a little obstacle course I have to go through just gets wrecked. And I'm like,
And Ryan's like, "Save me! I can't breathe."
the guy was funny because he's like, "Oh shit!" So we all run over and I start grabbing, I start putting it back together with the guy, and I'm like, "Can I just pick up where I left off?" Because you have to go back and redo it if you fail.
Anybody else would have been like, yeah, I was at the fucking end, bro.
And he's like, "Yeah, go back to it." So I go back and I do it, and of course I'm wearing like my normal jeans, and it's hard to actually,
That was not hard, dude.
The
That's
slightly
the fucking
skinny
shit
jeans.
ever. I'm flatter than you when I did it.
You're fucking...
Okay, like the girl in front of us was wearing like yoga pants. It was like a ninja.
Why
It was
didn't
just
you
like-
look?
It was just like
Were you looking at the yoga pants?
What I'm saying was,
God bless yoga pants.
what I'm saying is, she was dressed for this sort. She was the right height and dressed for this sort of physical challenge.
Did you know
Where-
that this was going to be superhero related?
No, not
Yes,
not
you did.
well, we
The
did,
flyer
but
said it was
we
a
didn't know-
superhero adventure.
Not that
never-
you would have fucking worn yoga
They've
pants.
never had
but
these
you-
sort of physical
You
challenges
wear your
before.
emo hipster jeans everywhere
But
you
you
go.
know what- But what I'm
You should've
saying
done-
is-
you should have gone to a bathroom and put your underwear on the
if
outside
I
of
was
your pants.
if I was 6'4", it would have been very easy. If I was 5'8", it probably would have been easy.
What?
If you're shorter,
So you're
could
just
go-
telling you were at the perfect height to fail at this.
Yeah, what the fuck?
No.
That doesn't even make sense.
If you're shorter,
It's 2 inches
it's 'cause
shorter or
it's the
2
wind.
inches taller.
Well, because
Hold
if you're
on.
tall, you could step over it.
for the
if you're
taller
short, you go
people,
underneath.
right? For the taller people, they stepped over. For the shorter people, they all went underneath. I swear to God, every single person I saw that failed was around my height because it's
They did it they were like, Ryan Higgins is coming. We're gonna put this at this
tall.
perfect height.
So I did the last one. I got my leg over and I got over and
How
I
tall are you?
just
How tall are you?
6
How tall?
feet even. I
so
barely
4
kicked.
inches would have made a difference
well,
in
the
your
funny thing is-
fucking groin in terms of how much you could have
Because
pushed your leg.
I hit the string like with the tip of my tip of the back of my foot.
The tip of your ball.
The back of my foot.
Yeah, the back of
and
your
it
balls.
just barely rang. And the guy's like, "Well, you put the obstacle course back together. That's what a real hero would do. So you succeeded." And I was like, "Yes."
You rang the bell with your balls.
Yeah,
Wait,
I
I have a question. Couldn't you have like jumped over?
You could. That's what some black dude did.
Well, you're also you can only stay on these certain tiles, and you can't. They're tiny.
Well, your
Oh,
aim
I'm
has to
sorry,
be
that
pretty
would
good.
require balance. I assumed you had balance. That was my mistake.
No, but like I don't think you could jump, and then I don't think you could
Didn't
land.
we
Yeah, you
establish
can land on the
physical
horse piece.
aspect was the hard part.
I don't know. Maybe
then
I just
add
gotta see
wind.
it. This is
Anyway.
hilarious that you're
Droopy
giving like
balls.
this 2-inch, 3-inch difference. Like,
Oh, it totally
Oh
would. Oh,
God!
yeah.
Oh.
Well, no, the funny thing is, he said the lower one was, 5'8", which is my height, and I did it perfectly.
What, did you go
fine.
over? Did you go under?
I went under.
See, he went under. Leanna went
wait,
under
wait.
and got over it easily.
You're 6 feet. He's 5'8". He could go under easily, but you couldn't.
No. I did on half of them. I did on a few of them.
It was dialed in perfectly for Ryan Higgins.
But the way
he just did not know if it should go under or over.
It is. I'm
the
telling
wind
you.
was against him. This course was against him.
All the short people went under.
Everything.
All the tall people went over. And there's like a handful of people that were all this like dead perfect height. We're all like, fuck. It's too hard either way. I'm telling you.
There's some super athletic guys, though. A couple of them actually did jump.
I'm exactly your height. I wish to God that.
Well, I think Bryce Man would have been one of those super athletic guys that would have just jumped over.
But you were also much
it.
more athletic than I am, Bryce. Yes.
Okay.
I think Bryce Man would have just jumped over.
He would have just gone
like a real
over.
superhero. He would have like, what is this? Boom, boom, I'm done.
Anyway,
look at my soccer skills now.
To wrap up, so we did actually. So then we in the last.
No
challenge,
wrapping up. We have to tell everything.
Well, we'd have to wrap up.
No, we have to tell everything.
But then at the end, you do kind of meet a couple supervillains. And then you fight those.
So you have to figure out their weaknesses first, right? So when you go fight the supervillains, you had like these clues to how to fight them. So in the first, you had to hit them with your superpower. The first one was like you got hit their button, and the dude had like a button on his chest. You had to like punch the button, and he was like, "Oh, you defeated me. Here's your next clue, right?" Then you go to the next supervillain, and her weakness was darkness. And my buddy was like, "How the fuck we gonna do this, right?" But she had like a cape on, so we had to like hit her first. And then we like take her cape and put her over her head. She was like, you defeated me.
Did you not notice that she had a giant pair of sunglasses too? I put the sunglasses on her.
Oh, fine, be smart. I saw the cape. I'm like,
that's funny though. I didn't think about that. That's good.
Yeah. And then the third one was the third one.
Sounds fucking incredible.
The third one is awesome. You hit him with the power, with your superpower, and he drops the mic, right?
Yeah.
And the weakness was karaoke, so you had to pick up the mic and start singing a song. You're like, don't stop singing, stop singing.
Did you sing "Disintegration" by The Cure?
No.
We sang "Boys to Men."
Yeah,
we make love to you.
Was it a guy or a girl?
Huh? It was a guy and we were guys, so it was extra special. Yeah. So after we did that, we had to go back to the academy, and then we had to look at the heroes from the past for clues for the future.
Which is Toby's favorite part, I'm sure.
It's my bloody best favorite part of the whole thing. So in the Hall of Justice, they had all these pictures of...
Hall of Justice.
They had all these... What is a DC thing? Why are you hating?
No,
Avengers
I know
Mansion.
that that's a DC thing,
Yeah?
but you were on you had me with this X-Men hard on for so long.
Well, there's no X-Men to this. There's Savior, and that was it. So now that the heroes from the past were all these like old school original Power Rangers, and in 1988, when I was 8 years old, Live Home was the best shit ever, and that was on the wall, so I was really happy about that. Anyways. At that point, you had to build your Power Ranger team. Then you realize you actually have 5 different colors on your wrist. And then you had to figure out the year, which you had to like mark off all the stuff off. And then you had to match the color with the year of your character off the wall. And that was your final clue how to defeat the Master Villain at the end. But you had to find the Master Villain at the end. So we had to go through the entire convention to go to all these different booths to find all these last...
Toby's missing an important part here.
I did? Okay.
To beat the final villain, you have to have a team of 5.
Yes.
One of each... Well, one
of each
quote
color.
unquote of each color.
You have to build your Power Ranger team.
So you can form your Voltron.
So you have to team
I'm
up.
more of a Voltron than Power Ranger.
So you have to team up with other people playing the game. So it's like we had 2 red, they had 2 blue, they had 2 yellow, but it's fine because you're at least one of each color. And then so you have to go around and find the rest of these clues, and then you...
So we built this giant mega team because there's all these reds, and there's only one pink, and there's one green. So we're just going to be one giant mega team. So there's just one giant mega team of say 10, 15 people deep.
Yeah, we had
we're
8
all
people,
walking together to find these tiny-ass clues by the booths. So we're just blocking out other people going, where's that liquor bottle with the fucking clue on it?
So this was also inside the Fort Mason Center in the room where they have the convention. So it wasn't very big, and when we were doing it, there was an autograph session by one of these J-pop bands.
Yeah, we just knocked that shit over.
By one of these idol singer groups.
Yeah, we ignored all that.
So there was a huge-ass line, and we're trying to, get through this group of, people, and we're like, how the hell do we get through all these people? And it was just oh, okay, I guess we made it, and it was not easy to get through all these people to find these little clues.
See, Ryan's too
Very
nice
weird.
because we just marched through with our giant group, and it's funny because sometimes you go to wrong booth and they try to tease you. They're like, "No, that's not the right liquor bottle." You're like, "Fuck, where's the 5 foot big liquor bottle? That's the right one and stuff." And there's one booth that I thought that was the right clue, but she was like holding up a sign. Well, it's like not the official sign. So at first I wrote that shit down. I'm like, that shit doesn't make any sense. So it was like the wrong one. So anyway, we found all the final clues to find the big bad guy at the very end. And it was like, oh, you have to go. It's outside of your town. So you have to leave like the place. And the guy is in green and he's disguised as a photographer, right? So I'm like, and he's looking down on you. So there's like a hill thing and you're looking up. And there's a dude taking pictures in a green shirt. I'm like, that's the motherfucker.
Like really way up on the hill, way off in the distance. So
but I was like,
all the way
that's the dude.
Yeah.
And then he started like, once he finished taking pictures, he's walking around like, don't go away. We have to fight this dude. But he was a normal dude that happened to wear a green shirt and not like a camera. So we're like chasing down the wrong guy.
That wasn't the guy?
He was like hella confused, right? He was like, what the fuck? Like,
That's great.
guys, you're the guy. You're the guy. We're going to fight you, right? Yeah.
The way to beat the last villain is you have to distract him by having the guy take your picture. And so, but then you have to line up in color order and then
Do the pose.
you have to
Power
do
Ranger
the
pose.
pose of your Power Ranger.
So you could just imagine
team.
to a stranger, we're like, we're here.
So then, yeah, you're gonna
Like doing the pose.
You're gonna do your pose because you're the red one, so you have the same handed fist pose.
And there was like the side ones doing the side poses. So
Yeah.
this dude was really confused.
and then we all had to say our superhero names, and then as a team, we had to come up with a team attack. And because of how windy it was, we chose like wind punch or something like that. I can't remember. So we're all like, Master Higgins. And we all like do our little poses and our things, and then it's like wind, and then like 10 people are like wind punch. It's so funny.
yeah.
Did it fucking get him?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we had.
Hey,
Yeah, of course.
We had the wrong guy first, but then eventually found the right guy.
That's super funny.
yeah.
That's
But as we hit him, he goes, ha 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 ha. Like he puts on this like little mask on. It was like not quite over.
He had like sunglasses with like a little fake mustache.
Yeah, so I half expect as an old school Power Ranger fan, I'm like, he's gonna turn into a giant and we gotta build our robot. But it actually ended there. I was kind of disappointed that it like didn't go that way. But yes, it was so awesome.
Dude,
Yeah,
that
it was pretty
sounds
funny.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of these. This was probably the most fun of all the open-ended
Except
ones.
that
The
you
most
didn't
fun.
have sunscreen.
Oh yeah, I got really sunburned. I didn't realize it was all going to be outside. So because the whole thing, the convention was all inside.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this was all going to be outside. So
It was
You're like
so good.
office stock printer paper white.
oh yeah, I
You're
am.
just the
I'm
worst.
pasty white boy, so I get really sunburned.
I love this, man. I wish
Yeah.
I GoPro this. I mean, this is the one time I'm like, fuck, I heard Higgins talking about this. There's going to be puzzles. It's going to be whatever, right? This is the one time I'm like, fuck, I wish I could have taped this. And I was like, I'm going to tape it on my phone. I was like, my phone is so full of the Comic-Con stuff. It's full of like, the NBA final stuff. I'm like, I didn't dump anything off my phone. I was like, trying to like take video. I was like, it's full. You can't take it. I want to take one picture. It wouldn't let me take one picture. So I started deleting shit as I was doing this. Oh man, it was glorious. I think you would have loved it.
Sounds,
Yeah, it was pretty
sounds
funny.
like fucking something I would have loved.
I had a ball, dude. The whole time I was smiling so hard, my cheeks were sore from smiling. They were hurting because they were stuck in place for so long.
I was smiling because I actually figured shit out. Usually I'm terrible at these things. So I feel like I don't know if they've dumbed it down or if I've just gotten better at them because I've done
So
these.
I was really mad because I'm really competitive when it comes to these kind of things, right? So Higgins was like, "Oh yeah, we ate lunch. We're taking our time." I'm like, "Oh, I could take lunch and eat and it
no, we
between,
ate
like."
beforehand.
Oh, I ate in the middle because I'm like, Higgins didn't even do the fucking savior training yet. I got it. I'm not like he's not physically fit. He's not going to pass that shit. I got time.
He's like
right?
6 foot. He's fucked.
He's fucked with that, ringy bing thing. So I was like, yeah, he's not going to do it. And then I'm like, I go over to Leanne's friend Lane. She had a table there. I'm like, oh yeah, where's Higgins? Leanne?
Leon's friend Lane?
Yeah.
Different lane?
Different lane, yeah. So she was like, oh, they left already. I'm like, bullshit, they did. She goes, no, I'm serious, they left. I'm like, did they finish? She goes, I guess so. They were kind of vague about it. They did not finish. So I'm like texting like, did you guys finish? She goes, haha. I'm like, that's not a fucking answer. Did you guys finish? She goes, yeah, we finished a long time ago. Where are you at, Slowpoke? I'm like, bullshit, right? But I was like, so I had to ask her, well, it was the end. She knew it. I'm like, no way they finished before I did. But they did. So congrats to you, Ryan Higgins.
Thank you.
Well, can we talk about how Charlie has been sitting at this table on the edge of his seat with his jaw open, not saying a word this whole time because he's been so entranced by your story?
Yeah, and reading Deadpool.
And thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of the Comic Conspiracy Podcast.
Wait, I haven't done my Comic-Con spiel yet.
Oh, my God.
That's got to be next time, bro.
Yeah. We have to go. Thank you for listening. All our previous episodes available at geekbox.net and on iTunes. You should go on iTunes and listen to them and download them off there. And rate us and review us on iTunes. We appreciate that.
forums at geekbox.net and the Geekbox and Facebook, the Geekbox and Comic Conspiracy Facebook group. Go there and talk to us and all other listeners.
Be honest, Ryan. That was like a Goonies adventure with superhero film.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
It was so good.
Digital.comicsconspiracy.biz. Go buy your digital comics from there. All part of Comixology. Every time you buy something in there, we get a little bit of money, which is great. Because money is great. Patreon.com/comicconspiracy. Go there and donate some money. Pay for the podcast hosting. Pay for our pizza we ate before the podcast. Give us a little bit of cash for doing this every week if you want. And you also get a little bonus if you're on there this week. So go check that out. Conspiratobrock.com. That's Brock's blog and video. Pull us. Go check that out.
I have one shout out real quick.
Yeah.
I want to give a congrats to Mitchell. He had his third kid.
Damn.
Yeah, number 3.
He's not going to be buying that many comics now.
Oh, I know.
It wouldn't be an episode of the Comics Conspiracy podcast if Brock didn't say what's up to Mitch.
I know. I got to say what's up to him. He's in South Dakota. He's suffering. He works for FedEx.
The Infinite Long Glass podcast and Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension. Those are Charlie's podcasts. Go check those out. On Twitter, I'm Ryan Higgins Ryan. Brock is Brock Sager. Bryce is Larsen Bryce. Toby is Toby XI. Charlie's Insanity and Chaos. Go at us and say hello. Geekbox, Comedy Button, good job, Brandon. Y'all Talk Podcast. The other podcasts are in our little network. Go listen to all those guys. That's it. That's the podcast. Thank you.
That's a long one.
Everyone for being on this week. Yeah, nice long episode. And we'll be back next week.